So I'm excited about our next speaker. Her name is Erin Echternach. She is the Assistant Director at Greater Bemidji, which is our economic development organization. And Erin's going to talk today about a new initiative called 218 Relocate, which is going to be relevant to many of you as your cities and towns, communities have been identified as telecommuter friendly communities. This is how our economic development saw that and decided, let's kick this up a notch and do something. So Erin, I'm going to turn it over to you and tell us about program 218 Relocate.
Thank you so much, Carolee. My name is Erin Echternach, and like Carolee has said, I work in economic development. And secret for everybody, in high school, I got a strong C in economic development. And really, when I started this job, I had emailed my high school teacher and said, I don't think I belong here, but I'm going to give it a shot anyways. And the beauty of it was I learned it's a lot about relationships. I mean, all of the technical things you can learn in economic development, but as long as you have strong partners in your community and you know who is the expert at the things that you need to know, you really can do a lot with building on relationships. And one of those pieces, like Carolee had mentioned, so we are the economic development arm of or organization within Bemidji in the greater Bemidji area. Actually, I'm going to stop share, Carolee, because I think I have to click share sound. But the beauty is we actually have the Bemidji Alliance now. And the Bemidji Alliance is our Bemidji Area Chamber of Commerce, our Bemidji Downtown Alliance, and also our Visit Bemidji. So those bringing for vacation to the area. And the importance of noting that within our community is that these partnerships have brought forth so many great overlap and ideas and spurred initiatives, especially throughout 2020, where we were able to really make a very deep impact within our community. So a piece of that with what we do with Greater Bemidji is we are governed by our 26-member board. It's all volunteers, and it's made up of private and public investments within our organization, and we are a nonprofit 501c3. So we're able to do a lot with Greater Bemidji, and our mission is simply driving development and promoting prosperity. One of the things that we noticed in 2020, as you all noticed, I'm sure, is the increase in those working from home and working remotely. That was just by default for 2020. What we noticed is that as the year went on, because the pandemic did continue, didn't mean that people went back to work right away. I think that people understood how to work from home a little bit better once they got more comfortable with that. If they had access to the broadband and fiber optic gigabit internet, it was easy for them to work within their homes. And a lot of times it helped with distraction as well, not being in an atmosphere where they're surrounded by people all the time. So what Greater Bemidji thought was, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this trend that we're going to see about people continuing to work from home. So really that means that they can choose anywhere. They can choose to work wherever they want, as long as they have access to internet and really great internet. They can connect from their home, and that can be anywhere. So really 218 Relocate was spurred from conversations that we had with realtors that were noticing a trend in people purchasing houses and asking about more specifically the fiber optic gigabit internet that we have in Beltrami County, but also saying, I need space, I need a home office, and they picked up on all of this. So within our conversations in the community, we were able to say, I think this is a really good opportunity for an initiative called 218 Relocate. So I'm going to show you a short video that's going to explain this really quickly in a really brief snapshot of what 218 Relocate is.
Need a change of scenery and room to roam? Maybe you've been thinking of a simpler life in a community that is just the right size, where you can enjoy the great outdoors and the peace of mind that northern living brings. The 218 Relocate program offers remote workers free incentives to move to and thrive in Bemidji, Minnesota. Get $2,500 in reimbursed moving expenses, including gigabit, high-speed internet service, a one-year membership to our co-working space, The Launchpad, free access to the Community Concierge Program, and teleworking support through effective remote work. Apply online at 218relocate.com and fill out a simple application form. 218 Relocate to Bemidji. Choose your lifestyle. Live and work in the Northland.
So in a nutshell, 218 Relocate is capitalizing on the opportunity for people to live wherever they want. So how about they choose Bemidji? So when you're talking about the sales techniques that Leaf was going through before, I was taking notes because I was like, really what I'm doing is I'm selling Bemidji. And it's a pretty easy sell. I'm a transplant from about a decade ago to Bemidji, and it's my forever home. I fell in love with this area. I want others to as well. And this program allows us to capitalize on that, but also capitalize on all of the regional center amenities that we have here and just the growing and thriving community and business community that we have. So when people visit 218 Relocate, we wanted to give them a really quick snapshot of 3 big reasons for them to consider Bemidji, Minnesota as their next home. And this one is a pretty cool one. Really recently, I'm going to take credit for all of this too, because it was just the timing of how 218 Relocate aligned with this, but it totally was happenstance. PC Magazine actually ranked Bemidji, Minnesota as number 8 in North America for the best cities to work from home. And among some of these cities were like Chattanooga, Tennessee. There was Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, some of these really large cities. And I think that link is going to the wrong location, so we'll fix that. But I've been getting phone calls from people that I know throughout the nation. They're saying, hey, Bemidji's on the map. What's happening there? Well, we've always been on the map. I think it's just becoming front and center now because of the lifestyle that we have with teleworking. So that's huge. The reason for us being named and ranked number 8 in North America for best cities to work from home is because of the fiber optic gigabit internet service that we have throughout Beltrami County. So not just Bemidji, this is the entire county. And we were actually selected by DEED as the very first county that was awarded the Telecommute Forward Community notation. And the reason why we are is because we were also ranked number 1 in Minnesota for access to gigabit internet services. So because of our awesome partnership with Paul Communications, we were able to highlight this as a reason for telecommuters to consider Bemidji and Beltrami County more specifically. So we'll get into a little bit more specifics of the program now, because those are the top 3 reasons to consider. But that's not going to be the only thing that draws people here and why they would stay here. So there's a lot of communities in Minnesota and across the nation that have capitalized on this now about telecommuting and working from home and the ability to have more flexibility with your work-life balance. They have awesome campaigns that say, hey, our community is great. We have lakes, we have woods, we have recreation for your entire family. But what makes our program different is that we actually have an incentive package that says we have all of that. We know our community is amazing. We're actually going to pay you to move here if you're a telecommuter. So if you are a telecommuter and you move into the Bemidji area, which we are defining as about 60 miles outside of the city of Bemidji, you're eligible for this program. So some of the programs include, in that short deal, it was the $2,500 reimbursement for moving expenses. So that includes if you rent a truck, if you have gas receipts that are moving up here, a moving company that you hire, anything like that can be considered as qualifying expenses. A 1-year membership to the Launchpad co-working space. And if you haven't visited our website for the Launchpad co-working space in Bemidji, it's been in operation for 6 years now. It'll celebrate its 6-year anniversary in May. And it is a co-working space in the historic Mayflower building where Greater Bemidji is housed. The value of that membership, that you can have full-time access with a key card into this secure facility where you're able to spread out and work with others, is about $1,500. So including that on top of your reimbursement package. Free access to the community concierge program. So this is something that, again, Leaf, I'm going to point to you because this is selling our community. Look at that sunshiny face there. So the Community Concierge Program was an initiative that we thought of about 6 years ago when I had in my former life at the Bemidji Area Chamber of Commerce. We've been in talks about how do we make this work for our community. Ultimately, what it is a welcome wagon. So it's not a new concept. It's been done in other communities, but we just didn't know the how. How do we make that work for Bemidji? And because we launched the 218 Relocate program, this seemed like the perfect opportunity for us to capitalize on newcomers and their families coming in so that we really can offer this wraparound for them and bring them into the community just a little bit more authentically, more thoughtfully. And that's what this program is. So they have anyone who is who does apply or receives a grant through 218 Relocate also has the opportunity to connect in with the Community Concierge Program. So it's really hard moving to a new community. We want to make sure that getting in touch with our local connectors is not. And what a community connector is a volunteer. They may be called on 10 times when newcomers come to the community. They may be called on 1 time. It really depends on their interests and their hobbies. The idea of having a network of connectors is that one person cannot be one thing to everybody, right? So you're relying on these volunteers that have different or varied interests, varied expertise throughout our community and different connections than I may have or others may have within our community. So I'm best able to pair them with newcomers and their families. So really, it truly is about wrapping around those newcomers saying, we're going to pay you to move here with 218 Relocate. But we also want to make sure that you have a relationship or a person that you can connect with here so you don't feel like you're going it on your own. That's a huge piece of 218 Relocate. And I'm so thankful that we were able to also launch the Community Concierge Program with this as well. So going back to the other things that you also get with your package, if you are to receive a grant, we had worked with Justin DeRose, who is a longtime telecommuter in Bemidji, Minnesota. And he actually reached out to us in September of last year as we were starting to develop this idea of 218 Relocate. And again, just by happenstance and the stars kind of aligning, he said, hey, I have this company called Effective Remote Work. And I reached out to you because I've noticed this trend of people in our area working remotely. I have tools and networking opportunities that I can provide as an incentive for people to move here and to just make sure that they understand how to work more effectively remotely. So he does have a company called Effective Remote Work, and we've partnered with Justin so that those who are, new to teleworking or those that have done it for a decade like him, they understand that there's a network of other professionals right in the area that understand what they're going through and how to best work. So we tried to put together a package that really was very authentic. We have support within our community. We were blessed to receive a grant for a 2-year pilot for this program through the local Nielsen Foundation. And then also Paul Bunyan Communications had contributed to this as well as a sponsor so that we can get this message out there. We can market this effectively and we can just brag about what Bemidji has to offer in our area. The other thing I did want to touch on too with 218 Relocate is we do have Bemidji State University within the city of Bemidji, and then we have Northwest Technical College as well. So something that we've been talking about for a really long time is how do we retain those graduates? It's all about attraction of the talent in the workforce to your community, but it's also about how do you retain that talent? And it's amazing that we have these institutions here with BSU and NTC to add to our community and add to the value of what our community is able to offer to bring people in. But how do we keep them here? We've wrestled around with this forever. And one of the things is, well, we have this opportunity. We have a captive audience that's here, or they're here remotely within our community. How about we offer a package for our recent graduates for NTC and BSU? This is a simple application that you fill out if you're going to apply for the grant program. And at the very end of the application, we do ask if you've been a recent graduate of BSU and NTC. And if they check that box, we're going to follow up with them because they also can have a package that they qualify for as well. So we tried to think of all of these different things that make sure that we're not only incentivizing people to come here, but not making it a flash in the pan. We're not going to support you when you do get here or along your way or along the way to get here. One of the things I do want to share with you that is not completely built out yet, but it is kind of under the radar a little bit too. We have to show our board of directors the final version of this before it's officially live. But the other piece of this, and the other spoke of the wheel, or the leg of the tripod, I guess, really, with 218 Relocate, is this thing or this concept called Bemidji Works. Again, another initiative that we've been talking about for a really long time. It kind of correlates with the Bemidji State University Northwest Technical College information that I was sharing. How do we retain people here? Well, Bemidji Works is how do we attract people to come and work in our community who also may have a spouse or a partner that's trailing, that may not necessarily have employment yet within the community. This is a way for us to not only be there as a person for them to reference, and hopefully disseminate our network too of those that we know that might be hiring, but that individual can take it upon themselves to then look for a job. There's a job search that's dug in to Bemidji, Minnesota. And it does have all of the available jobs in here too. So when we talk to companies and they're saying, well, how do we make sure that we're aggregating information or we're congregating that in one spot? We tell them, as long as you're applying in addition to whatever else you're doing to Indeed, we can make sure that they're being pointed, the job seekers are being pointed in that way. But the other real opportunity that we saw was able to actually connect with a company within our area. So a lot of times when individuals are moving to the area and they have someone that a spouse or a partner that is looking for a job, they'll send me their resume and say, please just help us find anything. My network is only as good as my network. So I do know a lot of people within the community, but I would love for them to actually be able to look through the investors that are invested in seeing the economic growth in our area through Greater Bemidji, and have this tool or this option where they can actually identify the company, where they're located. The person has a picture on there too, and an actual phone number and an email address of their HR coordinator. So even if they don't have job openings at this time, they can make an intentional move as a job seeker to make that contact with somebody at a job or a company that they are very interested in learning more about. And I can share, Miss Carolee, there's Pinnacle Marketing Group on here too. So like I said, this is going to be something that's available to all of our investors in Greater Bemidji as an added bonus or added perk, so that we can help them connect their employees or traveling spouses with employment as well. So truly, again, this is not live on our site, but truly 218 Relocate started out as this idea or this concept of let's attract teleworkers. And it is a very simple concept. That's really what we're trying to do at the very base of everything, is with this relocation package, let's get them here. But when they're here, we really do want them to have an authentic experience and a very meaningful experience when they're entering our community, so that we can say, we want you here. We value that you're here. You can add to our community. You can help us grow, help us thrive. And I think in turn, that's going to just help amplify that message and have them keep sharing that as well. So it started with this, let's get people here, and it evolved into, well, these are all initiatives that overlap and they surround each other so that we can actually make the experience so much better. And hopefully that's a really good sales technique, Leaf. I'll be looking for your feedback afterwards too. So just to sum up, I am going to share a video here that we have created as a commercial video, and it's about 1 minute and 40 seconds, so it's a little bit longer. But if you do know of anyone that would like to experience the Northwoods or wants more information on this program specifically, please send them this, because this is a really, really good snapshot for them to get the whole picture.
When you have the option to work from home, home can be anywhere. Home can be up north. Bemidji, Minnesota offers a place for growth, opportunity, and fun for family and adventure seekers. Bemidji has the peace and quiet that you just can't get anywhere else. And now, thanks to the new 218 Relocate program, you and your family can be a part of it.
Our program encourages professionals who telecommute from home or co-working spaces to consider moving to Bemidji, Minnesota. Making this move allows remote workers to live their ideal lifestyle and live in their dream location.
Teleworking professionals who decide to move to Bemidji will be awarded up to $2,500 towards relocation expenses, software upgrades, fiber optic gigabit internet, and even a free membership to the Launchpad co-working space.
Bemidji is the best of both worlds, a warm, small-town community feel with tons of recreation and regional center amenities, the #1 rated county in Minnesota for gigabit internet access, as well as an airport offering 2 Delta flights daily to MSP International, connecting you seamlessly to the rest of the world.
The people are amazing. They have such a welcoming community here, and if you are the new person in town, they go out of their way to just invite you to their house, introduce you to new people, new businesses, and it's very inclusive.
If you're interested in taking the leap and moving to your dream location, check out our website at 218relocate.com. It only takes a few minutes to apply.
Working remotely gives you the choice to live where you want, even in a hidden gem like Bemidji. 218 Relocate to Bemidji. Choose your lifestyle. Live and work in the Northland.
So that is my time, I think, to brag about Bemidji and how much I love it here.
The state
and
today
how...
reported 17 new
Oops, I'm sorry.
COVID-19 related deaths, along with 788 new.
There you go. I muted you. Now you have to unmute yourself.
All right, can you still hear me?
Yep, we got you.
That's my time to brag about Bemidji. I want to hear some feedback. I want to hear or see a show of hands of how many people are actually going to move to Bemidji now, because I can get you on my list and start communicating with you and reel you in a little further. But really, we're really excited about this program. We wanted to be able to highlight our community in a very specific way. And we have amazing amenities, especially with our gigabit internet access, so widely available that we really wanted to just set ourselves apart a little bit too.
Excellent. Andrea, you have a question? Feel free to unmute.
Oh, I think you're
Okay.
on mute, Carly.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? You can hear me? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Hi, everybody. That was great. Very cool. I wish I could move, but I have a husband who's a farmer, so we are stuck where we are. I was just wondering if you've gotten feedback from community members about how they feel about this. Do you get any people that are angry? Like, why are we inviting outsiders here? Have you had like a good response from community members that they really like this?
Yes. I've been working with a lot of community members actually as of late, because we've been doing a lot of presentation with surrounding 218 Relocate, and I've had literally no negative feedback. I think that people want to have people around them right now, especially now. I think that that's become so much more apparent, and we want to make sure that our interactions with people are so much more meaningful. So if there's an opportunity for people to brag about their community and highlight the resources we have and bring good people into the community, I haven't seen a downside, and I've not been notified of any sort of downside either.
You know, that crossed my mind though, Andrea, originally, because two things. One, I thought, well, gee, those students coming out of college, I'd rather them come work at Pinnacle than stay here and telecommute. But we don't have we don't have enough positions open all the time either. So, if they're going to gain experience telecommuting on a different company, the thing is that what I find is they want to have that in-house experience to be with a team too. So there might be times when those students kind of graduate to the point of like wanting an in-house environment in an in-house environment. Now, on the other hand of it too, I just, I think there are for Bemidji, and I know like tourism areas, Debbie and I were talking about Cross Lake, people that are coming here for the cabins and now they're staying longer because they can work from those cabins. So they're just kind of taking those opportunities to stay longer. Or maybe they're 5 years from retirement and now they can just move early to the rural areas.
Well, it's so funny because we're hearing those conversations and those stories now too of people that I have a woman who contacted me but she works for Boston Scientific and they've been working from home. She actually has a cabin in Bemidji and she said, my internet service at my little cabin in Bemidji is so much better than in Maple Grove, Minnesota, that I'm going to retire early and I'm going to work through my retirement up here. And we've heard it about Southern California. We've heard about Oregon. Like, it's just amazing the stories that you have. As soon as you kind of find that niche of what you're honing in on too with the internet service, that was the key for this program for sure.
This is Lindsay from Albany Mutual Telephone. I have to say, I absolutely love it. From 2 and 8 Relocate, I love it. It's fantastic. My initial reaction was the same, like, you guys better watch your population census in 10 years, because do you really want all those people there? Because this is an awesome idea. And people are moving for the internet more than anything. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's become a top priority. So that GigaZone is going to be full.
Yeah.
I think this is fantastic. And I couldn't remember if I liked the page on Facebook or if it was already advertised to me, because I've already seen the video. I've already been advertised to. So
I think I sent it to you, Lindsay. I invited you.
Did you? Okay. I couldn't remember. I was like, gee, are they phishing my work email? And now Facebook is already telling me to relocate to Bemidji. So it's fantastic and very catchy. I think you guys are doing an awesome job. I can't wait to hear the progress on it.
Thank you. And we're excited to see that too. I mean, one of the stipulations of the program is that people do have to actually physically have moved here before they can apply or receive grant funding, obviously. So it'll be interesting within the next couple months too, as we work with Pinnacle Marketing Group on a more extensive marketing campaign and more targeted marketing campaign, what that trend looks like too. So we'll keep you posted.
One thing is just that, the fact that the economic development picked up on the telecommuter forward, maybe that's what, when Erin called and when I was talking about it, I thought, well, yeah, I'm familiar with that. That's like I'm totally familiar with that. And then what are you doing in that space? And she's like, oh no, I've been watching it and I want to build something out on it. And I was like, oh, sweet. Like, yeah, awesome. And so it's pretty cool. But even if, you guys don't have the economic development pushing that, it's not that you couldn't offer an incentive to people coming in, and maybe you already do. Does anybody else offer incentives coming into telecommuters or anything like that, or thought of that? And that's where this was just launched, while Erin's been working on it for a year, was really just pushed out publicly probably in the last 3 weeks. And
yes, February 1.
Yeah, February 1st. So it is brand new. And we thought it was worth sharing because of that.
I wanted to share too that, the Erin and her team obviously, do great work, as you could see. But they started working on this before the pandemic. I talk about another stroke of something, as far as karma goes, that it becomes obviously a lot more prevalent once the pandemic struck, as far as working from home. But the plan was to target this particular segment with a program. And then it got, I think, a little bit more expedited when the pandemic hit. And then we saw these trends of people moving, as I'm sure you guys all have, move into the rural areas wanting to, and it's because of what we're doing that enables all of that. But kudos to our team here, because they saw this initiative and we're on it. And then, of course, have taken it to completion. So it will be fun to see the results. It certainly is appealing, but of course, I like the program too, because you will see results. We'll know how many people got the grants. So at the end of the day, we'll be able to tell, how many inquired and applied and things, but how many actually came here and were benefited by it. So it does have some pretty solid data behind it when we get going.
Yeah, you're right, Brian, too. And that's not only the telecommuters that's coming. Yeah, there might be individuals that are telecommuters coming, but really my focus is how do we integrate those families then too? Because those spouses probably need a physical job here. Not everyone has the luxury of being able to telecommute. So how do we match them with employers? And that's kind of where you saw that overlapping of community concierge, Bemidji Works, it all just meshes together because they all need to work together.
You know, it would also be interesting to see, you know, Carolee mentioned, you know, she would rather have people come work for Pinnacle versus telecommute from the location. Well, maybe these people that are teleworking, if they're coming from Bemidji State, but they're teleworking for a company in California, need a marketing firm, and they happen to run into Carolee at the local coffee shop and they're like, hey, let's hire Pinnacle.
Yep.
So I feel like there are so many more benefits than maybe they're not working for Pinnacle, but they're using Pinnacle, and it's a company that you would have never even had but for this 2-8 relocate.
Right. And I did write something down too from the earlier presentation. The very last thing I took away was relationships create loyalty and retention. And ultimately, I had said, like, my secret is I was not great with economic development when I was in high school, but it's all about relationships. It's all about how you leverage the resources that you have and you capitalize on those partnerships to work smarter, not harder. So the things in the work that you guys are doing as well, that feeds into all of this. So create those relationships, create those pipelines, because you don't know what doors that could open.
Great. Any other questions for Erin? I hope you found it beneficial. And our thought was maybe if we can meet in person in the fall, that maybe we can get an update on how those campaigns are going and those efforts. I just
I
think
would love that.
Yeah, on a greater perspective, I mean, like all of you we're in similar boats, and I think Minnesota's kind of a powerhouse built by everyone on this call, you know, for internet and those abilities. So I think this could work in multiple places. I'd love to see it.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate being able to showcase this for you guys today.